Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents, and it's a battle of the Blues ahead of game week 31. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Everton correspondent. It's Sean Norton. How are you, Sean?
I'm all good, thanks, James. Hope you are too.
Magic, mate, as always. And our Chelsea correspondent, Gary Mantle's here. How are you, mate?
I'm generally pretty good. I wasn't great Saturday night, but that's actually just because I ran into Clayton. Otherwise, I was fine.
He told me, and I said to Clayton, I
Mm.
said, "Did Gary congratulate you on winning the title?" And he said, "Yeah, basically."
It's
Hey,
done, isn't it?
Clates,
We're not here
wanker.
to talk about that, are we?
No, we won't talk about that. I can't believe I'm doing a COTC. I'm the only one who didn't lose at the weekend. Sean, you were a bit unlucky at the Emirates, weren't you?
Yeah, I think we've done all right, really. Unfortunately, Picker's made a bit of a mistake for once. But yeah, there's been a bit disappointing we couldn't hold on for what would have been a good point.
You must have, when you saw the team sheet, gone, "Oh, shite."
Yeah, yeah,
What,
absolutely.
what do we know about the two injured players at the moment?
Not a great deal with regards to Tarkowski. I haven't seen anything at all to say what's wrong with him. But with Jared, there was strong rumours from some decent sources on the internet that he was going to miss at least two matches, but it could be a sort of 4 to 6 weeker, like Keenan Dewesbury-Hall, hamstring related issues again. So I was quite intrigued when I heard David Moyes' press conference because I did think straight away he's just telling Cork he's here.
So this
So
isn't something we think happened on training on Friday. We think he probably knew and withheld it, basically.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since Ramthwaite's first injury at the beginning of the season come out, he was really irritated by that. So he hasn't really given much information out about injuries since then.
It's a bit concerning about Brantford, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. He's tied down to a long term contract now, and we'll just have to see how it plays out going forward.
Okay. Gary, hamstring injury news from your place, I understand as well.
Mm. Yeah, which happened like 2 days, well, essentially the day after they announced that Reece James had a new contract. He then gets a hamstring injury. But I don't know why he played personally. I don't know why he started on Saturday. I was a little bit, I was surprised. One of the things that surprises me is that he signed his new contract on Friday, and or they announced it on Friday, and Rosenior comes out and he says, "We've we've tied down the best player in his position." But which position does he mean? Because he started him in central midfield and then he played him at right back for the second half. So it's like, well, if you think he's the best right back, why are we playing him in central midfield? And he's definitely not the best central midfielder. So what are we doing with him? I mean, obviously now nothing because he's not available anymore. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but I just didn't think it made sense.
Initial reports seem to be sort of 4 to 6 weeks, the kind of usual for a hamstring injury. So, I
Yeah, well,
mean,
I think they don't know. I think he's gone for a scan, and we'll find
okay.
out. Yes, but that's it. They're saying that's the normal for a hamstring injury, so they're going, well, it'll probably be that then, won't it?
Yeah,
But
he's
who
obviously
knows?
not going to play this week, which obviously
No,
includes the important tie against Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday night. We are pre-recording on Monday night. Are you giving yourself any chance, Gary?
absolutely not. I mean, I don't normally do this, but I did have a ticket, and I've passed it on to someone. So yeah, just circumstances. It was like it was a bit of an effort for me to go, and I was
Boo!
like, I know, I completely get it, but I was like, it was so much effort to know that by half time, there's every chance we're a goal or two down. I'm going to be like, I want to go home. And I'd rather just not have gone in the first place
But
rather
you
than
were
go
giving
home.
yourselves a pretty good account of yourselves in the first leg. No,
Mm.
I didn't watch the
Yeah, we
game.
were. Yeah, fine. Like it's exactly what Virginia said. For 75 minutes, it was all right. Like we know that they're the better team. We still got done stupidly. I mean, it probably makes it even more annoying that pretty much everything we laughed at Tottenham about on Tuesday night, we did exactly the same things ourselves on Wednesday night, including the scoreline. So that, yeah, just shows us for getting cocky, doesn't it? I don't know. We seem to be letting in goals every week at the moment, where the opposition just go straight through the middle of us. Whether it's like the goal at Wrexham, whether it's the is it the second goal at PSG, obviously the one at the weekend, and even away at Aston Villa, we did the same. It was just disallowed for offside. It's like this is just happening again and again and again. If you saw the goal at the weekend against Newcastle, when it went in, the players weren't trying to appeal for offside. They were talking to each other, going, why have we let this happen? Why has he been allowed to run into centre midfield unopposed? Why has Trevor Chalobah ended up at left back and Reece James is now centre back? Why is Wes Fofana not chasing Anthony Gordon? It's like they were all chatting with each other, going, "How have we let this happen?" Which is right, because it was
That's
just
the danger
ridiculous.
and so many teams deploy it so well throughout the league. That's the danger with man to man. That
Right.
if the
And now
pieces
we're
of the
against
puzzle get
Paris
moved
Saint-Germain.
about,
And
then
yeah, so
yeah.
no, I
But
don't give
actually,
us a
do you know what?
chance.
Like Voltemade doesn't touch the ball in the goal, but he has a great movement, moving from like left eight to like almost like a right wing position, and causes
Mm.
confusion just
Well,
by
that's why
doing that.
Chalobah goes with him and why it's Reece that ends up at, yeah, sort of centre
But
back.
once Reece James comes over, Chalobah's got to get out the way. But I understand Chalobah's like, well, he's walked into my zone, so it's still working on something that's quite new, right? And it's obviously very aggressive all over the
Hmm.
pitch. You
Yeah.
beat PSG 3-0 in the summer. You beat
Hmm.
Barcelona 3-0 in the group stage.
Hmm.
Why can't you do it?
Because Enzo Maresca was in charge of both of those games.
Right, okay. So we're getting to the crux of it. Are we saying we're not comfortable at the moment with Liam Rosenior?
Yeah. I mean, away at Villa, I thought that was a really good performance, and that was like we exploited all of their weaknesses. It felt that we played it a little bit differently, which I was really happy to see. And it's like, right, let's hopefully we can kick on from that. And obviously we haven't. I don't really like the way that we're setting up at the moment. We're playing Enzo Fernandez in the sort of 10 position. But what really bugs me about this is that, okay, so we did it away at PSG and we do it away at Arsenal and away at Villa, but we also do it at home to Leeds and at home to Burnley. And it's like, how are we setting up the same for a home game against Leeds and Burnley as we are away to Arsenal and away to Paris Saint-Germain? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel to me like Rosenior's got a plan for this is how we're going to hurt this team and this is how we might hurt that team. I think part of it as well is that I don't think he trusts a lot of the squad because we're just using the same sort of 12 to 13 players all the time. And now, funnily enough, they've started getting injured.
And
Yeah.
yet, when we spoke prior, we were saying one of the reasons Maresca was getting pulled out for was for potentially playing players longer than was being recommended by, say, doctors or physios or whatever.
Yeah, and I can't imagine. I don't know because we never know these things, do we? Maybe the physios have said, yeah, Reece is going to be fine to play 90 again, even though we just played 90 on the Wednesday. And also, it's Paris Saint-Germain. It's like this isn't an easy 90. This is a tough game. We've just gone through a really difficult, like it's going to be tough on the legs and everything like that. And then he plays again, and yeah, I don't know. It's obviously something's gone wrong there because he hadn't been injured until now.
What's a good end of the season for Chelsea, Gary?
A good end is still if we came fifth or above.
What about if
I
it's
know it
sixth?
was
What if it's sixth in an FA Cup, for example?
uh I think that would still be good unless because the chances are we're going to have to have beaten somebody out of Arsenal, City, and Liverpool at some point if we're going to win the FA Cup. So yeah, there'll have been a good match within that, a, a good day out or whatever. If it's sixth in an FA Cup, it's probably acceptable because I do have to say, even with Rosenior, and I'm not sure about him, but he hasn't had like a pre-season. He's not really had any time to implement anything. So maybe I should give him the benefit. But just from what I've seen from him tactically, is only the Villa away game that I've thought, yeah, okay, there's something about this
So
guy.
are you looking at that almost like Villa was just almost the perfect opponent for how you've been playing, basically, then?
Um, yeah, maybe it is that. Because he's when he first came in, everyone was saying, well, he's worked with Delap before. I think he quite likes Liam Delap, and he played him a couple of games, and then now he never gets a start. Now, I don't think he's done anything necessarily to deserve a start, but if you are going to rotate things, that is a way of doing it. You can say, well, Joao Pedro can also play in the 10, but well, we're playing Enzo Fernandez instead. So you can play Liam Delap and you can play Joao Pedro a little bit deeper. And in fact, a couple of the games where we've done all right, we have reverted to that. So but he doesn't seem to want to start with it. He hadn't started Garnacho for a long time until he had to start him, but he did start him away at Villa, and that was by far the best that he's played for Chelsea. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It feels like there's maybe a distrust. Andre Santos has come out of the team as well. Like he hasn't been using him. So Reece played in central midfield, and it's like, but we've got a central midfielder that he was playing that plays next to Caicedo. So why is Reece James playing there when you've just said that he's the best right back? Well, I'm assuming that he meant right back, but he's not playing in right back. So why do you have to play him central midfield? Play a central midfielder there. Yeah.
You ain't happy, are you?
No, and this is before we even start about the goalkeeper thing. Because
we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
All right.
Sean, what's good look like for Everton from here? Because I tell you what, if you beat Chelsea at the weekend, you're only 2 points behind them.
Yeah, it's a fairly decent sized if, but yeah, good for us to be finishing 8th and getting us Euro, 7th for 8th.
Do you haven't got any eyes at all on 5th?
No, we'd have to go on a.
Even despite the form of Gary's team, Villa and Liverpool, doesn't look like any of the three are going to put up a strong points total, particularly.
I know, but we don't. Realistically, they're still going to win a few games, aren't they? So we'd have to win pretty much all our games.
Yeah, but what next 2 home games are? Chelsea and Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't see us beating both of them with our own record.
Okay, so does that feel like that's improved at all recently in terms of home results? You got the monkey off the back a little bit with the Burnley victory, but it's not been great, has it?
No, I think it's like I just think it's a combination of, like it is factually proven, isn't it? The teams don't do great in the first season in a new stadium. So you are sort of fighting.
I'm about 6 years in, Sean. I'm still really waiting.
I can handle 1 season.
I've just given you the warning, mate.
1 6. No, I think between the sort, I mean, the performances have been all right. There isn't this massive disparity in performance. I just think it's a bit of a quirk. There's like overperformance in the away results and underperformance in the home results. So, I know it's easy to look at certain games and go, well, if we'd have won that, we'd have won that. But we could equally have drew or lost some of the away games that we won. So I think we are where we should be.
It's interesting, isn't it? You're 14th on a home league table, 4th on an away table. But it's only 2 more points away from home than it is at home.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like just that most teams in the Premier League will take more points at home, won't they, than they do away.
You must be quite proud of the away results, though, in the sense we used to joke about years ago, Rex and T-Rex, and like Garner Goodison was hell, but if you had Everton at home, you pretty much banked the 3 points near enough.
Yeah.
It's flipped.
Yeah. It has, and it's flipped ever since Moyes come back. And it's it was always a bugbear of mine when he was here the first time, that we were always really good at home and we were garbage away. We'd regularly only win 3 or 4 games away from home, it felt like. And that was always the thing that was stopping us regularly finishing the Champions League places.
I suppose frustration will be, though, like your previous win before Burnley was against Nottingham Forest in December.
Yeah.
So it's 1 win from the last 7 at home. Even if that had been 3 wins from the last 7, we would genuinely be asking the question saying, can you qualify for the Champions League?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think that was going to happen, because I just don't think we're that good. I mean, I know Forest obviously had a season where they struggled and then they went and qualified for Europe. And at one point it was looking like they might get Champions League, but ultimately by the end of the season, they missed it by a fair bit, didn't they? We've still got some glaring holes in the squad and in the team. So I think for a team that's got no decent fullbacks and no real pace or a quality striker, I think to be doing what we're doing is outstanding. And that's I spoke last time with yourself on Clash of the Correspondents that was what I felt would potentially get us a European place, is the manager more than the squad that we've got.
It's just a good fit for your football club, isn't he? He gets
Yeah,
it. I think what it means to represent Everton.
yeah, absolutely. But I just think he knows the league really well, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think he gets slagged off even by our own fan base, and I think it's pretty disgusting, really. To be
Why would
fair,
that be? Is that because of type of football or?
I just think certain people just don't take to the fella for a whole host of reasons, and he a lot of Evertonians sort of went off him when he left, let his contract run out and go to Man United, and he just can't see past that and can't see past the fact that he tried to sign a few like Leighton Baines and Fellaini, wanted to get him on the cheap and said some daft comments when he was United manager about Everton fans. But he'd left and he was doing a different job at a different club, and you just got to sort of see past that type of thing. I mean, since he's come back, the job he's done for me is nothing short of outstanding. I just think there's a bit of there's been a lack of understanding about like what we've done, why we've done what we've done in the transfer market. So as much as on the pitch the results have been really good, it's been very, very bizarre some of the signings that we've made, and then the lack of game time that those signings have got.
I
And
guess you're referring to people like Tyler Diblin here.
yeah, but it's like there's Tyler Diblin, there's Adam Asnew, there's Merlin Roll, even Tyreek George that Grealish got injured, and we've got Tyreek George from Chelsea, and he's come in and he hasn't had a sniff. Dwight McNeil has come back in, but we were prepared to let McNeil walk out the door. So if the move to Palace hadn't have fell through, and that only fell through because of what happened to Palace's end, then who would we have been playing? Surely we'd have been playing Tyreek George then. So the fact that the lad has hardly had a sniff on top of all the other players, I don't know. I just feel like he will say the manager that he's got final say, but it feels to me like it's other people bringing players in still, and then any manager, Sean Dyche used to say this when he was Everton manager. Well, he said it's very easy for me if someone else signs someone and I don't want him, I just won't play. And he done that with Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien never got played until David Moyes walked through the door. So I just worry that there's that sort of thing still going on, and if it is, then that's just gonna hinder any future progression unless we can sort it out. Because some of the signings are just, they're not they're not like the signings from years gone by where we were signing players at the wrong age for big money. At least these lads are still young, so they're not going to devalue massively. But I still don't think they're enough to get us regular European football moving forward. And that's what the owners will want. It's why they bought the club. They're no mugs. They know what they're doing. So whatever is going on, I'd like to think, they'll sort it out.
So do you want Moyes to have more of a say, essentially?
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's like I would trust him and his view more than the guys that come in, Angus Kinnear and Nicky Hammond. I know there was talk that Moyes didn't want Hammond, and when I asked a few Leeds fans, they weren't very complimentary about the work that they'd done at Leeds, and I think Leeds' recruitment's been notably better this time round. Certainly, the Leeds correspondent was saying about how they'd identified in the summer just gone they needed bigger, stronger, faster players. And I've seen that when we've played Leeds twice. We haven't been able to get anywhere near them, really. They are, noticeably quicker than us. And that's been a problem that we've had for a long time. So I feel like he's only got a year left on his contract, much. But I think it'd be very foolish to think we could easily just like move him on and carry on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, sometimes better than devil. West Ham fans will sometimes refer back to it. I think there was the parting of the ways at that time was right, but it hasn't gone better for them without him. That's very clear.
Yeah, he's not a. I don't think he's as easy a manager to replace as people think. It's very easy to take for granted what the current state that you're in. And he is he is a very very good manager, and I'd be more than happy if he stays for longer than another 12 months. And yeah, I'd be more inclined to trust his view on players, because I don't see why we would not want to do that, because we were very much people. I've said this to you before. People go on about the likes of Brighton and Brentford, etc., and how good they are in the transfer market. But when Moyes was at Everton the first time, there wasn't many better than Everton and Moyes at signing players for very very low fees, and invariably they went for big money.
Well, some stayed like Seamus Coleman, but it's still an
Yeah,
incredible deal. Was it 50K you paid for him? Was it? I think
yeah,
back in the day.
60 grand, best 60 grand anyone's ever spent.
Oh, that's an expensive 10 grand extra you've added on there. Gary, just want to bring you in on Tyreek George because that's your player. Does that piss you off that he's there and not playing?
No, because he was at us and he wasn't playing, and so they're just doing the same thing that we were doing. But he didn't get in a squad from like October until for some reason just before the window. Um, we tried to sell him to Fulham, like the club. I don't think the club really want him. I don't think he's good enough to play in our first team personally anyway. We had two that came through at the same time last season, which was Acheampong and Tyreek George. Acheampong looked immediately like he was ready for the first team. I mean, he's a bit like taller and probably stronger, and just he looks agile. But he looked. It was more that he just looked really confident. He looked like he belonged sort of in the first team, and I've never really felt that with Tyreek George, and so I think at best he needs a loan somewhere where he's going to go and play, and obviously that isn't Everton because he's not playing, but they could do what they want. We weren't going to play him. Just, he, I don't know who would actually give him who he could have gone to in the Premier League that was going to give him a game, really. So he'd have had to drop down to
We give
Championship or
anyone a
something.
game if it's got two legs and can put one in front of the other. I mean, some of ours can't put one foot in front of the other, so that would have probably been a bonus. I don't
Yeah.
suppose, Gary, you look at the Everton team at the moment and think, "Oh, he should be playing."
No,
That's what I gather
no,
from your view. You're not
no.
thinking. Probably should have phrased it differently. You're not thinking he should be in the Everton team. Why is he not playing?
No, I'm not like I can't believe they're not playing Tyreek George. I
Yeah.
can fully see why they're not. If anything, it's more like Sean said. I'm thinking, why have they bothered bringing in Tyreek George?
Okay. Another player that obviously you know well is at Everton is Keenan Dewesbury-Hall, Gary, who's I think it's fair to say has done pretty well so far. Are you surprised, or did you think he'd go there and do well?
No, I'm not surprised because I still feel that he's not good enough to play for Chelsea and where we are and how we want to play and where we want to be in the league. But I do think that every time he played for us, which was mainly in the Conference League, it's like he looked okay. He's compared to like similar position, someone like Enzo Fernandez, and I much prefer Enzo Fernandez. So it's like I still feel the same that there wasn't any harm in getting rid of Kieran Dewsbury Hall, and I don't think he would have played much. But I have no animosity against him or anything like that. I'm happy to see him go and do well. He was like his attitude was always good at Chelsea. What we didn't really like when he signed was we thought, is he just going to get in the team because he like knows Enzo Maresca because they were together at Leicester, and that's not what happened. And Dewsbury Hill tried. All you can do is try. Wasn't probably quite good enough for us, and he's gone to Everton. He's done really well, and I'm happy for him. It's the same. It's pretty similar, I suppose, to Axel Disasi. He's gone to West Ham. It's like, yeah, they play a completely different way to us, and they're like, oh, he's a good defender. Yeah, he's a really good penalty box defender. We don't want penalty box defenders. They do. So he suits them. He doesn't suit us. And at Everton, he's a much bigger fish, let's say, than he would be at Chelsea. He suits Everton. He didn't suit Chelsea. It's fine. He'll probably go and score at the weekend now, won't he?
I mean, now you've said all that, yeah, quite possibly. I take it you think he's good enough for you, Sean.
Yeah, Keenan Dewesbury-Hall is a really, really good player. I I was quite surprised that we were able to get him, but I didn't have a doubt at all he was going to be the right sort of player for Everton. I think he's absolutely perfect for our football club. Um, and he's made as big an impact this season as anybody. And fair play to the lad. He obviously got injured in the game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and then when he come back, he just like hit the ground running as if he hadn't been missing. But when you listen to his interviews and stuff and see his posts on social media, he seems to be really enjoying it at Everton, and he only says all the right things that you want to hear as a fan. And yeah, I definitely think players like him, the more of them we get in, we should be back to where this club needs to be, and that's pushing up at the right end of the table. I mean, you said it there before. We beat Chelsea. We're only a couple of points behind them.
Right on, mate. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for you to look downwards at the moment, Sean.
No.
No.
That's what I mean. When you think about how many years we've been doing these and talking about how me and you both knew there was a good 4 or 5 years paying for Everton coming, and we've been coming back every year talking about them. When I've just been waiting to ride that out, and finally we're on the other side of that. And I've no doubt at all. This club will be pushing in the top half of the league for the next few years.
So the way you two have just spoken, what I gather from this is Jewsbury Hall will score at the weekend, but you'll probably take a bit of a tanking, Sean, and then life will probably get worse afterwards, because that's generally what happens when correspondents speak a certain way. I want to move on to fantasy assets, but just before we do, I want to come back to home form a little bit, which for me, considering I've got the worst home form in the league, feels a little bit, yeah. But yours has been shy as well, Gary, really. You've won 5 home games. Sean, a new stadium excuse. Is there a Chelsea problem here at Stamford Bridge?
There seems to be. Newcastle had only won 1 Premier League game at Stamford.
He's so much better on mute, Gary, isn't he?
There's only 2 other teams I can think of that have. Am I muted?
No, you're back. You dipped out for a second there, Gary.
I'm sorry. That would have been a bit of yeah. They'd only won 1 Premier League game at Stamford Bridge before Saturday, which the only other teams I know whose record is as bad at Stamford Bridge are Tottenham and Everton, have both also only won 1 Premier League game at Stamford Bridge. I don't know what's going on at the moment. I suppose
that will change this season. Carry on.
I'll tell you what, though, I was thinking that would be the final nail for Rosenior if it did, because especially if
we beat you to stay up, yeah. All right.
Especially that, exactly. Especially if you came to us in the relegation zone and you got out of it by beating us, that would be. I mean, I don't know what time that game would kick off for one
shit for the next 2 months and then beat us to send us down.
That's what we normally do. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the police will have us at 10 a.m. kickoff, won't they? If we could send you down that day, but yeah, results recently have been absolutely awful. We've only kept 1 league clean sheet under Rosenior as well, which was a home game. That was against Brentford. If you remember, they had about 3 massive chances that Robert Sanchez saved a couple of them. Found himself dropped a month later, so that's the thanks that he gets for that. I don't think there's just one issue.
But we haven't before Rosenior came in. That's his first home league defeat at the weekend. You'd won 4 from 10 at home under Maresca. So it's not just a It's been all season. There's been a problem at home. That's why I'm mentioning
it. Yeah. There has sometimes there've been a few where we've got players sent off and that hasn't helped. Like Brighton we did, and Burnley we did, and Arsenal we did, and I don't know. I've probably forgotten a couple of others as well. But even before that, it was like the first game was against Palace. That was 0-0. There's been issues because our goals record itself isn't that bad, but for some reason at home, I think it probably is. Certainly recently. And the other thing is, even then, when you say this is Rosenior's first home defeat, that depends which way you spin it, because how many has he actually won at home? It's is Brentford and West Ham, I think. And that West Ham one, we were 2-0 down at half time.
And you were lucky against Brentford as well.
Right, there you go. And this is where it's been for the last couple of weeks, because you could have said up until the PSG game, well, his only defeats have come against Arsenal. It's that's fine, but we did throw away a 2-goal lead at home to Leeds, and we did completely mess up at home to Burnley. But you excuse that if you could then carry on with positive results. If you then get negative results, you can chuck them in with, oh, look who else he's failed to beat at home. So, yeah, luckily this game isn't at home. However, we've always had an awful record going up to Everton. So I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make.
Different stadium, I'd say, isn't it? It's worth acknowledging. Yeah, second best away record in the league, Gary.
Yeah. And
Although it's nothing huge to write home about, right? It's from 15 played, 25 points, which is good. But
it's all right for where we are in the table, isn't it? Like where we want to be, like that. You wouldn't, if you were going for the title, you'd go, why are we not picking up more points away from home? And
well, for context,
City probably are.
Manchester City have picked up the same points in the same number
there you
of
go.
away
So
games
they'll be
this
thinking,
season.
why haven't we picked up more points? And we're going, oh, this is all right, actually. So yeah, that's the difference of where
Yeah.
we are and where we see ourselves. So yeah, the away form's been okay, but I don't know. I don't know if we're about to start on a bit of a downward spiral because we've got a really tough run in, like basically from now. I
You
include
actually sit
Everton
above
away.
Liverpool on my ticker for the rest of this season now.
Yeah, well, we've still got to go to Liverpool. It's still like this is still perfectly within our hands if we want to get like the top five. We've still got to play Man United at home. We've still got to play Liverpool away. All right, so we've got City as well, but like this is up to us to like to do this ourselves. And yeah, I don't know that we will.
Is your optimism that you might more out of other teams than your own belief in yourselves?
Well, this normally does happen, I find, at this stage of the season. The teams that are like going for the Champions League as opposed to the league show you why it is that they're not going for the league and why they're going for the Champions League. We'd all just drop stupid points because everyone had said, like, everyone worked out a couple of weeks ago, oh, yeah, this is actually perfectly lined up for Man United. They're not in Europe, one game a week. And then what happens last week? It's like, well, okay, they had to play obviously midweek, but they lost to Newcastle in a game that they shouldn't really have been losing. So everyone's going to show their frailties. We're probably going to be out of Europe as well. Obviously, we've still got the cup. Liverpool, just at some point, it'll probably be their week because this week
I
it's
mean,
Man United the ones that won.
in
Last week we
fairness
were
to
the
them,
ones that won.
at the same time, they've won. Michael Carrick has won as many home games this season as you've won all season.
This doesn't surprise me at all. No.
That's a shit stat, that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing I can say to try and make out that our home record's been good. It hasn't been, and yeah, I wouldn't.
I'll make it one better for you. Michael Carrick's won more home games this season than I think Tottenham have won over the last 15 months, I think. Let's
Mm.
talk some fantasy then. Let's go back to Jewsbury Hall, Sean. If someone were to invest in him or James Garner at the moment, what would be your preference?
Oh, that's quite a
Basically, same-ish price. Garner is 0.1 more, 5.2. Dewsbury Hall, 5.1. Garner's comfortably ahead on points, but obviously Dewsbury Hall missed a period after the hamstring
yeah.
injury at Stamford Bridge in the reverse fixture. Garner is so consistent on the DEFCONs and stuff, but Dewsbury Hall is more likely to get you the big haul, if you will.
Yeah. I think James, looking at the fixes that we've got James Garner might be the better one to go for, but I think it's pretty close between the two.
Thanks for
Yeah,
answering that, Sean.
yeah, I don't know. I toss a coin.
I suppose as well, it'd probably be more ones for those maybe who have used the wild card and looking for something a little bit longer term. I don't suppose this is maybe where you take your 1 week punts, if you will. Many will be wild carding in game week 32. There is a chance, Sean, you obviously could double in 32 when people, or in 33, sorry. If people wild card in 32, they'll be looking at them two boys as like an eighth attacker, very much so. So I'll ask you the question again. You can give me an answer. Dewsbury Hall or Garner?
Dewsbury Hall.
I thought he was going to say Tyreek George just for shits and giggles, actually. Gary, we'd have to avoid Moises Caicedo at the moment, wouldn't we? He's one
Well,
yellow from a 2 game
yeah.
ban. That's problematic.
Hmm. Um, I don't know how he's been doing on DEFCONs recently either. I can't imagine that he's been that high, really. I'd guess just without
It's
having looked
very
up.
much slowed, mate.
Yeah, I'd have thought so. I don't really see where he would have gotten at the weekend, to be honest. So there's no point in there's no point getting Moises Caicedo, is there?
No, and a long time since there's been any attacking returns as well.
Yeah,
Quite
yeah,
some
that was
time
like
since
one of
that.
those purple patch. Like, yeah, it happens for a bit and then
Talk
revert.
to me about Cole Palmer and how he's playing at the moment. There'll be people binning or have binned Haaland with money
Mm.
available. Cole Palmer, even if you just remove the cost at the moment, because the cost might not matter to
Yeah,
people,
no, I
particularly
get
if it's
it.
short term.
Well, he seems to be starting every week. Um, he got taken off at PSG after about 83 minutes or something like that, which made me think, okay, he's probably going to start again against Newcastle, and he did. Played the whole game. I mean, let's just say that's obviously the first thing to say with Cole Palmer. Wait until after we've played the home leg against PSG, see that he's got through that all right, because we might be playing him a bit too much at the moment. I don't know. We haven't, to be honest, we haven't heard anything about him being injured recently, so hopefully things have cleared up a bit there. How he's playing, he's having nowhere near the influence that he used to have on our team and the way that we're playing. He doesn't get into the game as much as he used to, doesn't make things tick. And I don't know if it's how much of that is down to him or how much of it is down to other players. But it's been a long time since there was a Chelsea game where you came off and go, oh wow, Palmer really stood out. Like he used to put in undoubted man of the match performances every week. Certainly under Pochettino, even the first year, or first 6 months under Maresca, that hasn't happened in a long time.
What's explanation then? You think he's still carrying it, or just it's not fitting into the system at the moment?
I think it's probably more that personally. I think he works really well with Joao Pedro if they have the space to work, but teams are quite clever and they're not giving us the space to work. And this is part of the reason that I don't like having Enzo Fernandez in the 10 because I just think that the way that he plays is a bit more withdrawn. So then there's one person fewer, and you could say, oh, that gives her a bit, it gives you a bit more space. But whether it's that we're not getting the overlaps and it's nobody's like dragging other people out of position, I don't know what it is. I don't think he's getting the same uh yeah, sort of the same space that he was afforded. He comes deep looking for the ball, but he's always done that. He used to have way more of an influence when he did that, and I think that might be down to the players around him. I think he used to really link up well with Nicholas Jackson. Him being gone, I don't think has helped at all.
But the early
I do
signs
think
with João Pedro were so promising. Think back to the Club World Cup
yeah,
games.
and even then, when they've played together, they still look pretty good. I mean, let's not forget that Joao Pedro's good form came after Cole Palmer got back in the team. So I do think that they help each other, but it seems to be just those two. Um, and yeah, I don't think, I just don't think it's really happening for Palmer. The other thing is, I haven't checked the stats, but I bet his like shot volume is way down because he used to always be in positions. He used to always want to be like taking shots on. Don't really remember much of that recently. So
A few away in the first half, particularly against Newcastle at the
I
weekend.
remember him having a couple that got blocked, and yeah, there's ones where he's tried to pass it in, but it's hit a defender instead. Yeah,
I
I don't
made a
know
comment
what.
prior to the hat trick at Wolves that I felt his ball striking wasn't right, and maybe because he was carrying pain. And then he went
Mm.
and scored the hat trick at Wolves, and I looked really stupid. So I haven't said it since, but it could be that he's playing potentially. Okay, so hypothetical for you, Gary. So you sell Haaland this week, you've got two free transfers, and you obviously buy Beto as your choice of forward. Stop laughing, Sean. Do you buy with the spare money? Do you buy Palmer or Fernandez?
I'd still go Palmer over Fernandez. I mean, Fernandez hasn't been doing it at all, which is another reason that I don't like him in this position. It just doesn't suit him. And like, well, certainly, like, okay, maybe it's not comparable for Everton away, but we're at home to teams like Burnley. Do we need two defensive midfielders? Because we not have our best ball progressor, which is Endo Fernandez, playing a bit deeper, so he could actually get the ball from the defense or from the defensive midfield up to the forwards, and then we could have an additional attacker. It hasn't worked for him in the 10. He got that one assist at Aston Villa, and that was a good assist. But I just don't think he scored. Obviously, he scored away at Paris Saint-Germain as well because we managed to hit them on a bit of a turnover, which is probably unlikely to happen at Everton. I don't think the system suits him personally. Um, Cole Palmer's on penalties. I'd go for Palmer over
If you double,
Fernandez.
if you double, Fernandez, I think particularly will be popular. I think it'll be maybe difficult to squeeze Palmer in, and based on what you're saying, probably wouldn't be worth it unless we see something different next couple of weeks. But Enzo Fernandez, I think naturally will be popular because people will be drawn to that.
Yeah, and
If it's say you City Arsenal double, then you're going to be drawn to that. Plus, it'd be like, I really want free Chelsea, and it's not like I'm going to go double Chelsea defence. So then it almost, Joao Pedro would become like an auto pick under that because there won't be many forwards of availability. So then it becomes Palmer, maybe Chalobah will come on to in a sec, and then maybe Enzo because you're like, I can't really get to Palmer. So does that make sense? He's going to be,
I know, and
by
also
default,
with
he could end up
Enzo,
being quite popular again,
but
just
his injury
naturally.
record is also a lot better than Palmer's, and he plays all the time. Enzo Fernandez rarely gets. Like, we had this conversation last time I was on. You were like, "Oh, I'm not sure about his minutes." It's like I don't think his minutes are going to be a problem, and they haven't been a problem. He's always in the team. Um, so yeah, I get that for a double. Yeah, fine. Enzo, get your 4 points from Enzo.
Okay. Realistically, you're probably not buying Beto this week. So if you are replacing Haaland, is João Pedro the go-to forward in the game to
For
get
one
if you
week
don't
or for
own?
what?
Well, for many people, Gary, it will be a one-weeker at the moment.
Hmm. Um, the chances are he's going to play. I mean, it would be absolutely crazy the way our results have gone to then also take Joao Pedro out of the team because he's been the best player for us in the last sort of month. So
Could he
I
look at an
think
opponent like Everton, though, and go, it's going to be quite physical while played the lap?
that would be brilliant. Play the lap and also play Joao Pedro. Play him
Right.
off the lap. That's what I would love to see. I mean, because it makes so much sense as well. But I don't know that he will because I haven't seen him change his tactics in that way. I can't imagine that he would play the lap and not play Joao Pedro. But yeah, who knows? I'm pretty sure that Joao Pedro's minutes are like they're going to be there.
You've been
What
quite
I've
high on
seen.
João Pedro throughout the season as a fancy prospect. You said to us on Correspondent Week, I think he's underpriced. I think that's proven to be correct, right? 162 FPL points. It's very good.
Yeah,
He's been in
and
decent form.
last time I was on was before this decent form started, before anyone says, oh, yeah, you're only saying that now. No, the decent form hadn't started. He was just below, I think, Ekitike and Bowen at the time for points. And then this form has started. And now he must be, I'm assuming it's got to be either him or Thiago's second top scorer and forward behind Haaland.
I think it's João
Um,
Pedro now, I think.
yeah, I would have thought so. And this is it. And he doesn't take penalties and but his record is absolutely fine. There'll be like 2, 3, maybe 4 games that he doesn't score. He will eventually score. The minutes are going to be there. I think he's a great player personally. So yeah, I still think it'd be fine to go there.
Okay. As a 1 week punt, I mean, it's not a punt when you're buying someone without ownership. Do you prefer him
Mhm.
over Ekiteke, Thiago if people don't own, or I guess others that might come into contention, like maybe Jared Bowen, Raul Jimenez, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison?
I was waiting for you to say that because
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
I've said it. If it's just one
Um,
week, and a lot of people will have that. I've got that
yeah,
decision. I've got Thiago and Ekiteke. So if I move Haaland on, it is possibly, yeah. For me, it's probably 2 weeks. So, for example, Jared Bowen, I think, becomes more interesting because of their
hmm
32 fixture, and you've got City. So, but if it was just the 1 week, I would be picking João Pedro over Bowen, and then that would also make people like Jimenez, Richarlison maybe interesting and stuff as well.
yeah. You talked on the main pod about the other doubts around Jimenez because otherwise I would have said that Jimenez would have been the better choice if Muniz was still injured and
Yeah.
the off the pitch stuff hadn't happened with Jimenez with his dad, then yeah, then fine. But that's not the case. So if it's minutes that you're looking for and that's quite undervalued, then yeah, Joao Pedro's are definitely going to be there. There's
Are they
probably
though?
more
After
excitement.
this week?
Well, our game's Tuesday.
What if he ends up playing 120 minutes Tuesday? We won't, James. You might.
Hmm. Uh, I think you're not going to drop all 11 players. And I think he would be one of the last in the list of like the 11 because you're going to have to change some. But I don't think he's the kind he's like, I can't remember exactly how old he is. I think he's like 23 or something like that. It's like, I haven't seen from him like the tiredness or anything like that. Needs a rest. Um, some players, remember, like, because he's not that big, he's not like that sort of muscly or anything like that. So almost a bit like, remember with Riyad Mahrez when they used to say he doesn't need a rest. He's fine. He's like, he just doesn't,
Oh,
his
he's
muscles
getting
don't get
injured.
to.
He's getting injured now, Gary.
Well, that might happen. Of course, that might happen. I can't predict that. That might happen. But I think he's been so crucial to the way that we attack that I can't see him not playing. But I do think there's probably more exciting picks, and actually, I think Richarlison might even be one of them personally
Okay.
for 1 week.
What if you were looking longer? Let's just say we're going till the end of the season. Is he absolutely fine to include?
Yeah, so I'd be more inclined to do that.
Yeah.
Where you can go, I can just leave him, and there'll be games like we could go to Old Trafford and like lose 2-1, 3-1, but he'll probably like there's a good chance he scores the one. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
it. Name an away game we've already had. Sean, was I
shit, yeah,
right
we're at
to
home to them, aren't we?
I'm sure you remember Robert Sanchez getting sent
I
off. We'll come
do,
on to him.
yeah, I do.
Sean, was I right to exclude Beto and Tierno Barry from this discussion about forwards?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been the same with them all season, and you never know who's going to start and who's going to be benched, and neither one of them are great anyway.
Okay. Who would you prefer to play? Beto seems to just very recently got a bit of favouritism again.
Yeah, I don't think there's much in it. But Barry's like just a younger version of Beto, really. I mean, I think Barry's probably the better finisher, but we don't really create enough chances for either of them. But Barry's better in the air, but we don't maximise that. We don't really get anyone around him, so he's not sort of flicking it on for anyone to run onto. So he's winning aerial battles, but there's there's just nobody capitalising on it for us.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think this is again why I think we're doing really well to be where we are because they're pretty poor, the pair of them.
And Illiman and Dyer has not been producing much output in terms of goals and assists either. It's three attacking returns since game week 15. In fact, no, it's longer than that. It's three since game week 10. Now, admittedly, obviously went to AFCON, but still a long period.
Yeah, I mean this is the thing with Illy. I mean he's an outstanding footballer. You take away penalties from his goals, and there's not enough for the ability that the lad's got. He was outstanding against Burnley. That was probably his best performance since coming back from AFCON.
Okay.
So hopefully there's some goals due because I definitely think he's underperformed for like I say the player that he is and how good he is.
If people wanted to invest in your defence now, has it come full circle where the answer might be Michael Keane again? If we're saying Branthwaite's possibly out for a little while here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think Michael Keane will play against Chelsea.
I'll tell you what, there'll be people looking for defenders this week, even just for 1 week. Would that be a consideration?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, he carries, he does carry goal threat as well, Michael Keane. So I'm just thinking, sometimes it can be hard to um, predict what the manager's going to do, but he really likes O'Brien at right back because of the extra height. So as much as James Garner has played a few games now at right back, I think if Tarkowski was fit, I think he'd put Garner back in the middle and put him back in midfield, play O'Brien right back, Tarkowski at centre back, Keane with him, and then Mikalenko at left back. So it all depends on Tarkowski, but I just don't know whether there'll be any information ahead of the deadline that gives an indication of whether he's back or not.
No, that's fair
So,
enough. Would
but either way, I think Keane will play.
would Trevor Chalobah be the obvious one for you, Gary? If people want a
If
defender this week, should that be a candidate or not?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but that's all I can say for him.
Defcons have dropped off, none in the last four.
I don't know if you've watched Chelsea recently, I don't know why you'd be going, oh, do you know what I want? A Chelsea defender. You just wouldn't.
But he was obviously he had this brilliant period of DEFCONs, Gary. So he was constantly ticking over with like fours and stuff like that. You take that if they're running consecutively, but across the last four games, DEFCONs have not been there. It's actually 3-6-6. This is contributions in the last three games against Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, and against Burnley. There was a 9. So it's against a range of opponents. They've calmed back down again now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to play. I know that last time I came on, I said, oh, I thought there was a chance he was going to get dropped pretty soon, which has been incorrect in the Premier League, but was actually right because he did get dropped away at Napoli, and that went so disastrously wrong that I can't see it happening again. But we did play Reece James at centre back. I'm pretty sure that Chalobah is now nailed because I don't think he trusts Badiashile or Tosin. Maybe not even Wes Fofana anymore. Sarr was the next one along. See, he might even play him against PSG.
None of these others like Fofana can be considered at the moment, can they?
No, definitely not. Chalobah's the one. It does sound like Gusto's probably going to play now if Reece James is injured, but we do have Josh Achiampong, so and I don't think Gusto does anything particularly well attacking. He got a good assist at Villa, but that was pretty rare. It's so rare that I thought it was Reece James when I was watching it on TV. But he doesn't normally get in those positions. Cucurella, I don't know. At some point we might play Hatto, but probably not. His minutes are probably safe, but the attacking returns just haven't been there. He's not getting in the positions that he was getting in this sort of time last season, so there's absolutely no point in going for that. Yeah, you might get the DEFCONs on Chalobah. Give it a go if you're crazy enough to want a Chelsea defender.
Wow, you've massively sold that to us, Gary. Thanks, mate. I might just ignore. Who's going to play in goal first and foremost against PSG?
Sanchez, because if it's true that Jorgensen's injured, then it's going to have to be Sanchez, isn't it?
Okay.
But
Is Jorgensen back for Saturday?
well, I don't know, but this is like what bugs me about this as well. This is my final point against Rosenior, is that it still shows that he hasn't made a fucking decision about who his goalkeeper is it? Because he hasn't come out and said, yeah, I picked Sanchez. He's come out and said, well, Jorgensen's injured and he wasn't on the bench. Right, so you still can't decide. So we still don't know. So you've been here for like 2 months, just over 2 months, and he still hasn't made a decision over who his number one goalkeeper is. And I think that personally, I think that shows a bit of like weak management. And I was thinking of times that this has happened in the past. I know that Chelsea fans will always like eulogise over Jose Mourinho, but this did happen when he first came in, and we already had a very good goalkeeper, which was Carlo Cudicini, and we bought Petr Cech. Now, obviously, to people that are a lot younger than us, that sounds mental. Well, of course, you're going to play Petr Cech, but this was a young Petr Cech. But he came in and he said, this is my number one, and this is like who we're going to go with. And he did it straight from the off. And Rosenior hasn't done that. And now we're in this laughable position where now he's dented Sanchez's confidence. We've played Jorgensen. He's letting 5 goals away at PSG. He's let one basically through his hands, which is exactly what he did when he was given a chance this time last season away at Aston Villa. And it's a mess because I think it should be Sanchez personally. And if it's Jorgensen, fine, I'll support him, but just make a fucking decision and say, this is my number one and this is who's going to play.
Can I ask a very, very controversial question? And you can feel absolutely free to shoot me down and defend your football club.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Rosenior's decision?
I don't know, to be honest.
So it's not that controversial of a question.
No, it's not that controversial at all. No, because I know that there was rumours of that happening towards the end of the time of Maresca, that they were saying, oh, we never knew who it was, but oh, somebody needs to play because we need to keep their transfer value up. Now, they might be saying that, for all I know, with Jorgensen going, look, he wants to leave the club, play him for 5 games at some point, keep his value up, and we'll sell him in the summer. And maybe he's been forced into doing it. And
Can I tell you, Gary, because you started dropping F-bombs, that is absolutely fucking mental if that is true.
Completely agree.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
No, because how many other things have you looked at that our club has gone and gone, that's absolutely fucking mental? Because yes.
Sanchez's previous game before Jorgensen played was the Arsenal game, right?
Yeah.
And okay, problems with set pieces. Most teams struggle set pieces against them.
Exactly.
Sean's being an example that doesn't particularly, although even Sean's team gave a silly penalty away against them at home earlier in the season. But I felt like in that period before that, he was doing all right. Sanchez. You were just conceding the odd
Hmm.
silly goal late in games when you had games won and stuff. It seemed like a really bizarre change. It was
I
like
thought it was.
it feels on the outside like there's been periods where the fan bases have been like really kind of frustrated with Sanchez and stuff, but this didn't feel like that period. So
No,
it really confused people.
it confused me as well, and I think it's a mark against Rosenior. I think it shows, like, in my opinion, fairly weak management, or he's being controlled by somebody, like, as you say, that's like influencing him in some way to give Jorgensen some games. He's like, well, I don't want to do it in the run-in because that's too crucial. I'll play him now, but I don't know.
Can I ask you
Um,
another controversial question?
of course,
If given the opportunity, would you sack Rosina?
no, I think that would. I don't think there's any point in sacking him now. Um, but in the summer, if a better option was available, I would not be disappointed at all if they said, "Yeah, he's gone," and essentially said it was a
But
mistake.
will better options say yes to people upstairs?
Probably not. I've told you when we did the pod when he got appointed. Like, I think we're in a cycle that I don't know how we get out of it at the moment, because this is going to keep happening. There's going to keep on being interference. There's Yeah, there's too much off the pitch, like essentially baggage, and yeah, mainly interference from various departments that want various different things, that we have to be run like a business. Remember, we have to make like 250 or 200 to 250 million every year just to stay afloat on PSR because of how much money we've spent. It's our own stupid fault. This isn't me like saying, "Oh, poor us," obviously. Um, but that means that we do have to keep these players' transfer value up, because otherwise, how are we going to make the money?
I see you got a bit of a fine today as well.
Mm,
We knew this was coming, though, didn't we? It's caused a bit of kind of noise in the media, but we knew
yeah.
this was coming. Can you just explain that to people? What's just briefly what's happened?
Yeah, so it was under the previous regime. So when Abramovich was in charge of Chelsea, it was between, I think the years was 2012 to 2019, which happens to be the exact years that Eden Hazard was at Chelsea. They were making illegal undeclared payments to agents. And when the new company came in to buy the club and they were doing their due diligence, they spotted this and they said, "This is an issue. This is going to get us in trouble. We want to ring fence an amount of money because we're going to get in trouble for this, and we're going to report it ourselves." So that's what they did. They kept this money separate. They went to UEFA, they went to the FA. And 2 years ago, UEFA fined us 10 million for this and said, "That's the end of it." And we paid it. And 2 years later, the FA finally caught up, gave us pretty much the exact same fine with a couple of extra, like a suspended thing. And we can't sign any academy players that have already played for a different academy for 9 months or something like that. But essentially, it's the same punishment. And the reason that we haven't got any points deduction or anything like that is because we were really cooperative with the investigation and self-reported. And also, it wasn't these people that had done the illegal payments in the first place. It was
So it
all
wasn't that
people
VAR
that
was
left the
checking
club.
club badge, because the Evertonians would say, "Sean, you got done twice in one season, mate."
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I think Gary's making light of it, which is unsurprising, really, isn't it? The reason why they've got fined is because the Premier League have decided to deem that they got no sporting advantage. That's why there's no points deductions. But the Premier League could have said, if they wanted to, because we were the first team that broke PSR, they could have said Everton didn't gain any sporting advantage, because sporting advantage and proving it one way or the other is very, very subjective. And most of when we broke PSR was down to interest payments on the new stadium. So if you read through the lengthy list of stuff that Chelsea have offended, it's more serious than interest payments on a football stadium. But at the end of the day, most football fans are very aware that the Premier League have select clubs that they like to look after, and no one's surprised that there isn't a points deduction in Chelsea's way. But should there be? Absolutely, there should be. And if it was fair and it was all like about sporting integrity, then they would be in more trouble than they are. they trotted out a line with Everton that when a club's got wealthy owners, then fines are not sufficient. That's what they said about Farhad Moshiri. So are Chelsea not wealthy anymore?
Well, no, Gary says they made to make a couple of hundred million to stay in line with PSR every year.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
I'm not sure. But I think, Gary, you have to understand what the anger is like from the outside. Others, because Sean feels like his team's been victimized. I think that's fine, by the way. So people are going to feel like that, aren't they? You've got off because they brought forward the problem. I think actually before we started recording, Sean, you said it best when the fact that, yeah, Chelsea have brought forward the fact they've got a problem, but how shit is the Premier League for not knowing that the problem was actually there?
Well, yeah, exactly. And Farhad Moshiri was in the process of getting out of Everton, but the fact that Everton were about to change hands and the ownership was going to change didn't amount to anything. Like shock horror, but you know, at the end of the day, if people want to kid themselves that everything's on the up and up and all fair and equal in the Premier League, then fair play to them. But it absolutely isn't.
Well, I'm now off to the pub to retrospectively celebrate Tottenham's Premier League title triumph in the 2016-17 season because I now know that Chelsea cheated. No, I'm not going to do that. Gentlemen, one final question for you both. Sean, if you were free hitting this week, any Everton players?
Oh, against Chelsea? No, I wasn't.
Gary, Chelsea players?
I think the only one I would be tempted by, only just due to a lack of like forward options, is maybe Joao Pedro. But otherwise, no, not really. Not for an away game at Everton.
Okay. Correct score prediction, Sean?
I've got a decent record when I say that we're going to get beat. We end up winning, so we're going to get beat.
Yeah, Lewis James tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah, well, it's worked for me the last few times, so I'm sticking with it. Fuck Lewis.
So what are you going for? Correct score?
I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea.
Oh, okay. Trevor Chalobah it is then. Gary?
I was like, have you listened to anything I've said about our defence?
No, it's not.
No, no, at
No,
all.
he's still trying to call the Premier League up to get you points deducted, mate. I say you're getting into the Champions League, Sean. Get them points deducted. It's like me trying to stay up. I'm just waiting for Man City's 115 to come through now. It's the best hope I've got.
I can't be optimistic for a trip to Goodison. Certainly not Goodison. You know, the Hilly Dick or
Hilly
whatever.
Dick, yeah.
1-1.
Wow, inspiring stuff. Thank you, gentlemen. I wish you both the very best of luck. Sean, anything you want to plug?
No.
Other than the direct line to the Premier League. Gary, anything for you?
No, I think it's probably best not to.
No, fair game. Gents, thank you both so much. Very best of luck. If you thought that was fun, I've got another COTC for you tomorrow. It might be equally as fun. It's Tottenham Hotspur versus Nottingham Forest. It's a big one. Ricky Saunders and Mark Sutherns will be joining me for that. I shall try not to be impartial. Sean, Gary, thank you, gents. Very best of luck. Cue music, please, man child.